She stood in my kitchen, surrounded by her friends, laughing in my face. "You don't own me, Caleb. Stop pretending we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with." They howled like it was the best joke ever told. I just smiled. In that moment, something inside me broke, and something darker woke up. My name's Caleb. I'm 31, a graphic designer working from home in a quiet suburb outside Denver. I've always been a simple guy. Give me good coffee, my Xbox, and a Friday night with frozen pizza, and I'm happy. 6 months ago, my girlfriend of 2 years, Alyssa, moved into my house. My name's on the mortgage, the bills, even the little brass plaque by the door that says the Moors. She bought that plaque without asking me. At the time, I thought it was sweet. Now it feels like a cruel joke. Alyssa isn't like me. Where I'm laid back, she's a performer. Her life revolves around her 3 best friends, who I secretly call the hyenas. Their names, Madison, Brooke, and Sierra, already sound like trouble. They laugh at everything, especially when it's at my expense. The blow-up happened last Friday. I was cooking pasta, trying not to burn the sauce, when Alyssa breezed in, already dressed up, phone glued to her ear. She was shouting over me about the lake trip. I didn't even know she was leaving. When she hung up, she flashed me a bright smile. "Good news, babe. The girls and I are going to Lake Harlow for the weekend. We're leaving tomorrow." It was the first I'd heard of it. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Sounds fun. Which lake is that? I just want to know where you'll be." You'd think I asked for her bank PIN. Alyssa looked at me like I was pathetic. "Seriously? You don't get to keep tabs on me. Stop acting like we're married." Right then, Madison and Sierra walked in through the back door like they owned the place. Alyssa repeated my question to them, mocking me word for word. The hyenas burst into laughter. I stood there with a wooden spoon in my hand, pasta sauce dripping on the floor. My stomach dropped. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just smiled. A weird, empty, too calm smile. Because inside, something shifted. If she thought I had no say, fine. I'd stop saying anything. But I would start acting. The next afternoon, I watched from the porch as Alyssa and her friends drove off. Her car was loaded with glittery bags, portable speakers, and a case of White Claw. The second the tires rolled off my driveway, I moved. Step 1, Mrs. Caldwell. My 82-year-old neighbor is sweet as pie, but sharper than a hawk. She's the type who notices if a squirrel sneezes on the block. I brought her a slice of carrot cake and asked for a favor. When Alyssa inevitably came storming back, Mrs. Caldwell would deliver a few carefully crafted lines. Her eyes sparkled with glee. "Oh, honey," she whispered, clutching her pearls. "I do love a bit of drama. You leave it to me." Step 2. Operation Take Back My House. For 6 months, Alyssa had transformed my home into a beige nightmare. Throw pillows everywhere. Scented candles that smelled like fake lavender. Art prints so abstract they looked like a printer ran out of ink. I started boxing everything up. Her endless dresses, sparkly, glittery, identical, went into a box labeled Shiny Disasters. Her 40 pairs of high heels, boxed and labeled ankle breakers. Makeup and skincare mountains. Face paint and goop. By evening, the house looked emptier. By morning, it looked like mine again. Step 3, the fun part. I replaced her beige rug with one that looked like a football field. Sold her dainty white sofa online and bought a massive black recliner couch with built-in cup holders. The flimsy glass coffee table? Out. In its place, a vintage arcade cabinet that lit up in neon glory. But the crown jewel? A 115-pound St. Bernard puppy from the shelter. His name's Moose. He lumbered in, drooled all over the recliner, and fell asleep snoring like a chainsaw. Perfect. That night, I sat back with a cold beer, Moose's giant head in my lap, and looked around. My house wasn't beige anymore. It was alive. It was mine. I changed the Wi-Fi password too. The new network name, not married, not yours. The password? No say no stay. And then, I waited. On Sunday night, my video doorbell pinged. Alyssa was back. She looked sunburned, smug, and tired from her weekend of partying. She tried the door key. It slid in, but didn't turn. The new deadbolt I'd installed that morning worked perfectly. She jiggled the knob, frowned, then banged on the door. Moose lifted his head, barked once, then went right back to sleep. My phone lit up with her calls. I declined every one. Then came the pounding fists, the frantic voice screaming my name, demanding I open up. And that's when Mrs. Caldwell's porch light flicked on. Showtime. Mrs. Caldwell stepped out onto her porch in her floral robe, holding a watering can like it was a stage prop. Her voice carried across the quiet street. "Oh, Alyssa, honey, is that you? You look a little lost." Alyssa whipped around, her voice shaking with frustration. "Yes. I can't get in. My key isn't working. Is Caleb in there? I can see the lights." Mrs. Caldwell tilted her head and gave the kind of smile that only an 82-year-old who's lived through 4 husbands and a tornado can give. "Oh, Caleb's home all right. He's had such a wonderful weekend. A real transformation, I'd say." "Transformation? What are you talking about?" Alyssa snapped. Mrs. Caldwell leaned on her railing, her voice dripping with faux sweetness. "Well, Caleb told me you're not married, that you said he doesn't get a say in anything you do. So, he decided to celebrate his independence. He redecorated the whole house. Very rugged. And he got himself the most loyal companion a man could ask for." Right on cue, Moose raised his giant head from the couch and let out a deep, thunderous bark. Alyssa's face turned ghost white. She pressed her face to the living room window and saw everything. The football field rug, the neon arcade machine, the recliner couch, and Moose sprawled like a king where she used to sit. Her scream rattled the glass. "What did you do?" My phone buzzed with a stream of all-caps texts. Then came the threats. "Open this door now. You can't do this to me. My clothes, my life are in there." I typed one message back. "You told me not to act like we're married. I listened. Your things are safe in storage. 1 month prepaid. Address and code below. Have a good life." Then I blocked her number. The camera caught her reading the text. She froze. Then she hurled her phone onto my lawn, screaming words so sharp the neighbors' curtains twitched. Madison's car screeched up minutes later, and the hyenas dragged Alyssa away, still shrieking. I thought that was the climax. Oh no, that was just Act 1. The next morning, I woke up to 20 missed calls from unknown numbers. My buddy Logan texted, "Bro, check Facebook." Now, I opened it and nearly spit out my coffee. Alyssa had unleashed a full-blown smear campaign. Her post, "Ladies, beware. My so-called boyfriend called the cops on me to steal my belongings and kick me out like garbage. After 2 years, I have nowhere to go. This is what emotional abuse looks like." Below it, hundreds of likes. Comments from strangers calling me trash. Shares from her extended family. The hyenas chimed in, adding their own twisted versions. But here's the kicker. She posted an old photo of my living room, back when it looked like a sterile beige waiting room. Caption, "This was our home. He destroyed it because he can't handle a strong woman." I almost laughed. Our home. She never paid a cent of rent. Still, the smear campaign worked. Mutual friends started messaging me, asking if it was true. Even my aunt texted me, "Caleb, what happened?" I knew I couldn't just sit back, but I didn't want to rant. No, I had a better idea. That evening, I created my own post. 3 photos. First, the old beige living room. Caption, "Before." Second, the glorious new setup, recliner couch, arcade cabinet glowing, Moose looking majestic. Caption, "After." Third, a selfie of me and Moose, both of us grinning. Caption, "Decided to embrace my freedom after being told I don't get a say. Best decision I ever made." Hashtags. Hashtag no say no stay, hashtag bachelor life, hashtag Moose approved. The post exploded. My friends shared it everywhere. Even people I barely knew messaged me laughing. The narrative flipped almost overnight. Suddenly, Alyssa's version looked unhinged. And that's when the hyenas retaliated. The next day, Brooke and Sierra marched up to my driveway. They didn't knock. They stormed. Moose barked so loud I thought the windows would crack. Brooke shouted through the door, "You ruined Alyssa's life. She had to move back with her parents because of you." Sierra chimed in, "You think you're funny with your stupid posts? Everyone's laughing at you." I stayed silent, sipping my beer. Then, Brooke pulled out her phone and started filming. "See, Internet? This is the guy who abandoned Alyssa. Won't even come outside and face us like a man." That was it. I unlocked the deadbolt and stepped onto the porch. Moose thundered out beside me, drool flying, tail wagging like a wrecking ball. The hyenas shrieked and stumbled back. "Ladies," I said calmly, "if Alyssa wants to sue me, tell her to go ahead. But unless she's bringing rent receipts or a mortgage statement with her name on it, she doesn't have a case. And neither do you." Brooke's jaw dropped. Sierra muttered something about toxic masculinity. I just smiled. Then Moose sneezed on Brooke's shirt. A giant, wet, slobbery sneeze. She screamed like she'd been shot and sprinted to the car. I waved them off cheerfully. Drive safe. That night, Alyssa's smear campaign escalated. She posted a video of herself crying, claiming I locked her out and stole her dog. Yes, she tried to say Moose was hers. But that lie, that was the crack in her armor. And I was ready to drive a wedge right through it. Because I had receipts. And soon, the entire internet would see the truth. By Monday morning, my inbox was on fire. Not work emails. Threats. Alyssa had doubled down online, posting through tears that I abandoned her, stole her possessions, and kidnapped her dog. Kidnapped. Moose. The 100-pound drooling wrecking ball currently snoring on my couch. She tagged local Facebook groups. She even emailed my clients. One message read, "Do you know your graphic designer abuses women and steals pets?" I couldn't believe it. Was I furious? Yes, but mostly, I laughed. Because it was so unhinged it almost felt like satire. Still, damage control had to happen. I called my biggest client first. Before I could even explain, the guy chuckled. "Caleb, don't sweat it. I saw your Moose post. That dog's a legend. Your ex looks like she's auditioning for a soap opera." Relief washed over me. But then the doorbell rang. Standing on my porch was a man in a cheap suit holding a folder. "Caleb Moore." "Yes." "You've been served." He handed me papers. A cease and desist from Alyssa's lawyer, demanding immediate return of her property and shared assets, plus $10,000 in emotional damages. Shared assets. She never paid a dime. My jaw clenched. My fists tightened. But instead of exploding, I smirked. "Tell Alyssa I'll see her in court." The guy shrugged. "Buddy, I just deliver." He walked off. Moose barked at the retreating car like he understood. That night, I called my lawyer, Mr. Klein. He read the letter and started laughing so hard he had to take off his glasses. "Caleb, this is nonsense. You're the sole homeowner. She's not on the lease. And suing for emotional damages? That's a circus. Honestly, if she pushes, we'll counterclaim for unpaid rent and utilities. Trust me, she doesn't want that." The thought of Alyssa being forced to pay me back for 6 months of free living sent a wave of delicious irony through me. But the chaos didn't stop there. Wednesday afternoon, I came home from the grocery store to find my lawn absolutely trashed. Toilet paper, glitter, even spray-painted insults on the sidewalk. Dog stealer. Free Alyssa. I didn't need fingerprints. I knew the hyenas had struck again. But the best part? My neighbor, Mrs. Caldwell, had already called the police. She stood on her porch like a general overseeing a battlefield. "Don't worry, Caleb," she hollered. I told them everything. I even showed them the video. "What video?" I asked. She grinned. "Your doorbell camera caught the whole thing. Madison was the one holding the spray paint. Sierra tripped over her own shoe. Comedy gold." My blood boiled with anger, but my chest burned with gratitude. I wasn't fighting this alone. That evening, I got a message request on Instagram. From Sierra. The same Sierra who laughed in my face days ago. It read, "Look, I don't agree with Alyssa anymore. She's lost it. Last night, she said she was going to break into your house to prove a point. I thought you should know." My stomach dropped. Break in? Into my house. At first, I thought it was a bluff. But then I remembered Alyssa's face at the window. The rage. The entitlement. She absolutely would try. I locked every window. Double-checked the doors. Moose slept at my feet, his snores vibrating the floorboards. But my pulse wouldn't calm down. 2 nights later, it happened. At 2:30 a.m. The video doorbell chimed. Motion detected. I checked my phone. There she was. Alyssa, dressed in black, hair tied up, creeping onto my porch with a crowbar. Adrenaline shot through me. Moose leapt up, barking like thunder. She froze, glanced at the camera, then swung the crowbar at the lock. The sound jolted me. I dialed 911 instantly. My voice shook but stayed firm. "My ex-girlfriend is trying to break into my house right now." "Yes, I have video." Within minutes, red and blue lights flashed across my yard. Alyssa dropped the crowbar and started wailing. "He locked me out of my own home. This is in my house." The officer asked one simple question. "Ma'am, is your name on the mortgage?" Silence. When she said no, the handcuffs clicked. Watching her get arrested on my lawn should have felt like the end. Justice. Victory. But instead, My chest tightened with something else. Because even as the cruiser drove away, Alyssa screamed through the open window. "This isn't over, Caleb. I'll ruin you." And somehow, I knew she meant it. The morning after Alyssa's arrest, I thought maybe, just maybe, things would cool down. She'd gotten a night in jail. Surely that was enough reality for anyone, right? Wrong. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Logan. "Bro, turn on channel 6 right now." I flicked on the TV. My jaw hit the floor. There was Alyssa, standing outside the county courthouse, crying, shaking, surrounded by microphones and cameras. She'd called a press conference. "Ladies and gentlemen," she sobbed, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "I was abandoned and abused by the man I thought I could trust. He threw me into the street like trash. He even stole my emotional support dog, Moose." I almost spit out my coffee. Emotional support dog? Moose had been mine for 3 days before she even knew his name. The reporters leaned in, eating up every word. Alyssa clutched a tissue like she was auditioning for an Oscar. I'm fighting for justice. For women everywhere who are silenced and gaslit by manipulative men. This isn't just my story, it's our story. And then she held up a framed photo. Me and Moose. The selfie I'd posted. Except she'd photoshopped it. Erased me completely, left just her smiling with Moose. My blood boiled. My hands shook. She wasn't just lying. She was rewriting history in front of the whole city. By noon, hashtags were trending. Hashtag justice for Alyssa. Hashtag free Moose. Hashtag stop Caleb. My inbox flooded with hate. Strangers calling me a monster, a thief, a woman hater. My phone rang nonstop. My aunt left a voicemail practically screaming, "Caleb, what on earth is happening?" I wanted to curl up and disappear. But then, an unexpected message. It was from Detective Ramirez. Detective Elena Ramirez had been the officer who arrived during Alyssa's failed break-in. A tall woman with sharp eyes and zero tolerance for nonsense. She'd left me her card that night, just in case. Now, her text read, "Mr. Moore, I thought you should know. Alyssa filed a formal complaint against you this morning. She claims Moose is her registered service animal. She wants police custody transfer." I almost choked. Police custody transfer? They were treating Moose like evidence. I called Ramirez immediately. "Detective, she's insane. I adopted Moose. I have the papers." Her voice was calm, but serious. "I believe you, Mr. Moore. But she's stirring up a storm. We need solid proof before this goes any further. Do you still have your adoption documents?" "Yes." "Good. Keep them close. And brace yourself. Alyssa's pulling every string she can." That night, things got even crazier. I was scrolling through the chaos online when headlights flared across my driveway. A car door slammed. Then, singing. I stepped outside, confused, and froze. There was Alyssa, on my lawn, dressed in a white wedding gown. No, I'm not joking. A full-blown gown, veil and all. She was holding a bouquet of plastic roses. Madison was behind her, filming with a ring light, narrating like it was a TikTok documentary. "Caleb," Alyssa screamed, "I forgive you. Let's start fresh. Marry me now and prove you're not a coward." Neighbors poured onto porches. Mrs. Caldwell was clutching her pearls so hard I thought they'd shatter. Moose barked like he'd seen a ghost. I was speechless. My ex, who just tried to break into my house with a crowbar, was now staging a fake wedding on my lawn. The hyenas cheered. Madison shouted into the camera, "See? She's the real victim here. Look at her. She's willing to forgive him. What kind of monster says no to that?" My blood pressure hit the stratosphere. "Alyssa, get off my property." She dropped to her knees dramatically, bouquet clutched to her chest. "Please, Caleb, don't humiliate me. Don't let everyone think you're heartless." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone, tapped record, and pointed it right at her. "Everyone watching this, this is what insanity looks like. She broke into my house last week. She spray-painted my lawn. And now she's staging a wedding because she wants my dog." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Alyssa's face twisted. She lunged toward me, grabbing the phone. Moose leapt between us, knocking her back into the grass. The bouquet flew, scattering fake roses all over the driveway. The neighbors erupted in chaos. Mrs. Caldwell shouted, "Get the police." Again. Within minutes, squad cars swarmed the block. Detective Ramirez herself stepped out, arms crossed. watching Alyssa flail in the wedding dress like a deranged soap opera bride. "This the stunt you warned me about?" I asked bitterly. Ramirez sighed. "Honestly, I didn't expect this." Alyssa shrieked at the officers. "He was going to marry me. We had a ceremony planned." Ramirez's eyes narrowed. "Ma'am, you're trespassing. Again. And filing false police reports. Again. You're coming with us." Handcuffs. Flashing lights. Cameras rolling. Alyssa screaming my name like some tragic heroine as she was shoved into the cruiser. The hyenas? They vanished into the night. Couldn't even stick around for their own live stream. When the dust settled, Ramirez turned to me. "You should know, Mr. Moore, she's not finished. People like her, they never stop until someone stops them." Her words hit me harder than I wanted to admit. Alyssa wasn't just my ex anymore. She was a storm, and storms don't quit. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. Because if she wanted a war, I was ready to fight. The courthouse smelled like old wood and cheap coffee. My stomach churned as I sat beside Mr. Klein, my lawyer, while Alyssa preened 3 rows ahead. She was dressed like she was attending the Grammys. Flowing red dress, dramatic makeup, crocodile tears locked and loaded. The hyenas sat behind her, whispering and glaring at me like I'd committed war crimes. The case was simple on paper. Alyssa versus Caleb for wrongful eviction and theft of shared assets. In reality, it was chaos waiting to erupt. The judge walked in. Court is now in session. Alyssa's lawyer started with fire. "Your Honor, my client was emotionally abused, discarded, and unlawfully locked out of the home she shared with Mr. Moore. She lost all her possessions. He even kidnapped her emotional support dog, Moose." I clenched my fists under the table. Mr. Klein placed a calming hand on my arm. "Wait," he whispered. "Trust me." The judge nodded. "We'll hear from the plaintiff." Alyssa took the stand. She started crying immediately. "I gave up everything for Caleb. I moved into his home. I made it ours. And then he destroyed my life." She dabbed her eyes dramatically. "That dog, Moose, he was my emotional support. My only friend. Caleb stole him." The hyenas sniffled theatrically. Madison even muttered, "So brave," loud enough for the courtroom to hear. Then it was our turn. Mr. Klein stood, calm as ever. "Your Honor, the evidence will show Alyssa Moore never contributed to rent, utilities, or mortgage. She was a guest. And as for this alleged service dog," he paused, "we have the adoption papers, with Caleb Moore's signature, dated after Alyssa's so-called ownership claim." He handed the documents to the bailiff. Alyssa squirmed in her seat. But Mr. Klein wasn't done. His voice sharpened. "We also have video evidence of Ms. Moore attempting to break into Mr. Moore's home with a crowbar, trespassing in a wedding gown, and vandalizing his property with accomplices." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Alyssa's head whipped around at the hyenas, who were suddenly very interested in the floor. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Moore, is this true?" Alyssa's voice rose into a shriek. "That was performance art. I was provoked. He pushed me into it." The judge pinched his nose. "We'll review the footage." I thought that was the end. But then Detective Ramirez entered the courtroom, holding a folder. My heart skipped. She walked straight to the judge. "Permission to present new evidence." The judge allowed it. Ramirez handed over a stack of papers. Her voice was steady, but her words cut like glass. "Your Honor, during Ms. Moore's arrest, we conducted a background check. We discovered a shocking detail. Ms. Moore has a prior record in Arizona for fraud, specifically falsifying documents to claim ownership of animals for financial gain." The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Murmurs. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." The judge slammed the gavel. "Order." I stared at Alyssa. "Fraud. Animals." My blood ran cold. Ramirez continued. "In one instance, Ms. Moore attempted to register a neighbor's dog as her own service animal, filing false paperwork to receive housing benefits. That case was dismissed on a technicality, but the pattern is clear. And now, she's attempting the same scheme with Mr. Moore's dog." My jaw dropped. That was the secret. The insane stunt with Moose wasn't just desperation. It was her playbook. The hyenas shifted uncomfortably. Madison muttered something about not knowing. Sierra hid her face in her hands. Alyssa snapped. She jumped to her feet, screaming, "That's a lie. They're framing me. Caleb set this up." The judge's face hardened. "Ms. Moore, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt." She kept screaming. The bailiff had to escort her back to her seat, kicking and crying. I sat frozen. A storm of emotions churned inside me. Shock, anger, even pity. How many lives had she wrecked with this same scam? Mr. Klein leaned over, whispering with a smug grin. Well, Caleb, looks like your ex just buried herself. The judge looked straight at Alyssa. Based on the evidence, I see no grounds for your claims. Mr. Moore, you retain full ownership of your property and the dog. Bang of the gavel. Case dismissed. It should have felt like triumph. Victory. The courtroom buzzed with whispers as Alyssa sobbed into her hands. But then she lifted her head. Her eyes locked on mine, burning with hatred. This isn't over, she hissed. I'll make sure you regret this. You don't know what I'm capable of. For the first time, I believed her. Because people who live off lies, they never stop lying. And Alyssa had nothing left to lose. I thought the courtroom would be the end. Papers signed. Gavel slammed. Case dismissed. But with Alyssa, endings don't exist. For 2 weeks, things were quiet. Too quiet. My phone stopped buzzing with hate. Moose and I went on long walks. The arcade machine hummed in neon glory. Life almost felt normal again. Then the explosion came. Literally. It was a Thursday night. I just settled onto the recliner with a beer when Moose went berserk. He barked, howled, lunged at the window. Headlights blazed across my driveway. Music blasted from a car stereo. Alyssa's voice screaming through a megaphone. Caleb Moore is an abuser. A thief. A dog kidnapper. I froze. My neighbors poured onto porches. Mrs. Caldwell grabbed her binoculars like it was opening night at Broadway. Madison was there too, filming for TikTok, her ring light glowing like a halo of chaos. But Alyssa wasn't just yelling. She was throwing rocks, eggs, glitter bombs. My lawn exploded in rainbow dust. One rock smashed my mailbox clean off its post. Moose howled so loud it rattled the windows. My blood boiled. I stormed outside. Alyssa, stop. You're insane. She spun toward me, veil flying in the wind. Yes, a veil. She was in that wedding dress again, dirt-stained, torn, but still dragging it around like a twisted trophy. You ruined me, Caleb, she screamed through the megaphone. If you won't marry me, you'll regret ever knowing me. Neighbors gasped. Phones recorded. My entire street was watching the meltdown of the century. Then came the final stunt. Alyssa pulled a lighter from her pocket and held it to the veil. If I can't have happiness, I'll burn it all down. The veil caught. Flames shot upward. Screams erupted. I lunged forward, grabbing the garden hose. Moose barked like a siren. I blasted the flames just as they reached her hair. The water drenched Alyssa head to toe. She collapsed onto the lawn, mascara running, veil in ashes, shrieking like a banshee. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights filled the street. Detective Ramirez climbed out of her cruiser, looking like she'd aged 10 years. For the love of God, Alyssa, Ramirez muttered, what now? The neighbors cheered as officers dragged Alyssa to her feet. She was sobbing, sputtering, screaming about how I ruined her destiny. The wedding dress clung to her like a ghost. Ramirez turned to me. You pressing charges? I didn't even hesitate. Every single one. The aftermath was swift. Alyssa was slapped with trespassing, vandalism, attempted arson, and violating her restraining order. Her mugshot hit the news that night, wet hair plastered to her face, wild eyes glaring at the camera. And for once, the internet wasn't on her side. The same people who'd cheered #Justice for Alyssa now tore her apart. This girl needs therapy, not TikTok. I can't believe I defended her. Moose deserves better parents. My phone lit up with apologies from old friends. Even Sierra, one of the hyenas, texted me. You were right. She's dangerous. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. A week later, I posted one final photo. Me and Moose. Sitting on the recliner. Mailbox repaired, lawn green again, arcade glowing behind us. Moose had his giant paw on my lap. Caption, peace. Finally, the post went viral. Not because of Alyssa's insanity, but because of the relief, the calm, the truth of it. Do I still think about her? Yeah. Sometimes I wake up at night, hearing phantom knocks at the door, remembering her screaming, this isn't over. But then Moose nudges me, drooling all over my arm, reminding me of the only loyalty that actually matters. And you know what? That's the explosive truth no one saw coming. Alyssa thought destroying me would be her grand finale. Instead, She destroyed herself, on camera, in front of the whole world. Me? I just survived. Stronger, wiser, and never again fooled by fake love dressed up in glitter and lies. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.